What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jorge's House of Horrors, your favorite midnight hangout for everything that bumps, crawls, and screams in the night. I'm your host, Jorge, and tonight we're digging into a case so strange it forced the American legal system to stare the supernatural dead in the eye. A man murdered someone. That much is a fact, but when it came to explain why, he didn't blame rage, alcohol, or mental illness. He blamed the devil. This is the true story behind The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. You've seen this movie. This was a case involving an alleged demonic possession, a brutal killing, and Ed and Lorraine Warren's attempt to put the paranormal on trial. Let's dim the lights and open the case file. Our story begins not with a murder, but with a haunting. In 1980, the Glatzel family moved into a new rental home in Brookfield, Connecticut. Soon after, their 11-year-old son, David, began acting strangely. He claimed to see a man with big black eyes, a thin face, animal features, jagged teeth, pointed ears, and hooves. He said this entity threatened to steal his soul and drag him to hell. Classic demonic symptom checklist? You betcha. David reportedly began having night terrors. He was growling like an animal, speaking Latin phrases he had no way of knowing, and exhibiting knowledge of things he shouldn't have. He would lash out violently, often speaking in multiple voices. His family, terrified and very, very Catholic, called a priest. When the church's initial blessings didn't help, they turned to the only people they thought could battle what they believed was demonic. You got it. Ed and Lorraine Warren. By this point, the Warrens had built their reputation with cases like Amityville and the haunted Annabelle doll. But what they claimed to encounter in David was different. Ed believed David was the victim of a powerful demonic infestation, and Lorraine said she saw a black mist materialize next to the boy, something she took as a clear sign of an evil presence. The Warrens claimed David levitated, predicted future events, and at one point temporarily stopped breathing during an exorcism. They said multiple spirits were inside the boy, 43 to be exact, including one demon. The support of a few local priests, though the church never officially sanctioned a full exorcism, the Warrens organized several sessions. That's when things took a dark turn. One person who frequently was present during David's exorcisms was Arn Cheyenne Johnson, the 19-year-old boyfriend of David's older sister, Debbie. According to both the Glatzels and the Warrens, Arn made a fatal mistake during one of the sessions. As David convulsed and screamed, Arn challenged the demon, saying something along the lines of, "Take me on, leave the boy alone, come into me." And not long after, things started to change for Arn. On February 16th, 1981, Arn Johnson got into an argument with his landlord, Alan Bono, who was also a friend and an employer. Witnesses say Arn had been drinking, something unusual for him, and grew increasingly agitated. In a sudden outburst, Arn pulled out a pocket knife and stabbed Bono multiple times, killing him in front of Debbie and other witnesses. He fled, but was caught quickly. Everyone agreed he committed the murder, but when police asked why, Arn said he didn't remember. That's when Ed and Lorraine stepped in. Again. The Warrens told police and media that Arn had been possessed at the time of the murder. They pushed for a radical legal defense, not guilty by reason of demonic possession. Not guilty by reason of demonic possession. Just think about that. It's interesting. This was the first in U.S. legal history. The trial became a media circus. Newspapers dubbed it the Devil Made Me Do It case. Reporters flooded the courthouse. Public opinions were split. Was this a groundbreaking look at spiritual influence or the height of absurdity? Arn's defense attorney, Martin Manella, initially embraced the possession angle. He even planned to fly in an exorcism expert from Europe and subpoena the priests involved, but there was just one major problem. The court system doesn't recognize demons. The judge, Robert Callahan, ruled that possession was not a viable defense, stating that such a claim was irrelevant and unscientific. He struck it from the official record. In the end, the defense shifted to self-defense. Despite the sensational claims, the court found Arn guilty of manslaughter, not murder. He was sentenced to 10 to 20 years, but served only 5. By all accounts, he was a model inmate. He married Debbie while in prison, and the two remained together for decades. After his release, Arn maintained he had no memory of the stabbing and continued to stand by the possession story. The Glatzel family, for the most part, supported the Warrens, but not everyone in the family agreed. Years later, David Glatzel's older brother Carl came forward with a very different version of the events. He claimed the entire thing was manipulated and exaggerated by the Warrens for profit. Carl said his younger brother David suffered from mental illness and that the possession narrative worsened his trauma. Carl eventually sued the Warrens and the author of The Devil in Connecticut, a book detailing the case for misrepresentation and emotional distress. He accused the Warrens of being opportunists, which, I mean, come on, claiming they exploited his family for fame and turned a real tragedy into supernatural entertainment. The Warrens, of course, denied the claims. Lorraine maintained until her death that Arn had been possessed and that they had tried to warn everyone of the danger. What was it? At the heart of this case is one haunting question. Can someone be driven to kill by supernatural force? I mean, if you believe the Warrens and the Glatzels, then yes, Arn offered himself up to a demon, and the murder that followed was not his doing. If you're more grounded, you might see a different story. A young man under stress, influenced by fear, religion, and suggestion, who snapped in a moment of rage. It happens. Alcohol was involved. The court never ruled on possession, but this case remains one of the most bizarre intersections of crime and the occult ever recorded. So what do you think? Did Arn Cheyenne Johnson murder under the influence of a demonic force, or was the only possession here just psychological and stress? Let me know what you think in the comments, especially if you've read The Devil in Connecticut or seen The Conjuring 3. I saw The Conjuring 3 and even the documentary they had on Netflix. Did it change how you view this case? Now, if this episode gave you chills, or maybe you want to sleep with a crucifix under your pillow, hit that like button, exercise that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you don't miss a thing. I'm Jorge, and this is Jorge's House of Horrors.